peaceful, very cutesy, very demure, very mindful. Peace and love, tribe. It's Cashmere Carter live from the Real Deal podcast. If you haven't already, go subscribe on YouTube and follow LunaTheMoodyLion here on Instagram, tribe. Today we're going to be interviewing our Mr. Harrington here. Oops, give me 1 second. Let me turn this down. Also, I will let some more people tune in. But yes, we're going to be interviewing here with Mr. Harrington, Mark Harrington. He's someone deep in the education community, and he's an author and scriptwriter. I can't wait to bring him on and get to know him a bit better. Hey, Mark. How you doing today, Mark?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm pretty groovy.
Good.
Good. I'm glad to hear it. Well, tell us a little bit about yourself before I dive in.
So I'm Mark. I am from the UK. I am a full-time special needs teacher. And then on the sidelines now, I'm an author and scriptwriter as well.
I love your accent. So, because I was going to ask you, that was going to be one of my very first questions, because you have SEND teacher. So does that stand for special needs?
Yeah, so special educational needs and disabilities. I work with 14 to 16-year-olds mostly, with a range of needs and abilities. And it's every day is different, basically. So I learn a lot from them, and they learn a lot from me. And that's part of the reason I became an author and a teacher, was to help as much as I can in that community.
And I really appreciate all the work you do. So first and foremost, Liz, I want to thank you for that, because that takes a lot of strength and willpower to deal with those who are special needs. You know, not many can do it. So thank you.
It's definitely a niche type of person that can walk into a room and be faced with anything every day, and medical needs, emotional needs, and it can all go to extremes as well. It's not always easy, and that's part of my writing, is to show that it's not easy, but it's rewarding as well. Like we have our exam results today, and some of my students got the highest grades we've ever had in our school. So it's like, we know that we are doing good things as we go forward.
I love that. And salute to those students. So as you just said, it's not you have to be a certain type of person to get into, want to even to take interest in that field and be able to do it. So may I ask you, what exactly motivated you to get in the field, like to become?
Okay.
Yeah.
So I have a relation that's got some very severe needs, and when I left university, I studied film and television studies, literally a Mickey Mouse degree at university. Big dreams of wanting to become a film writer, work on films and stuff, but the British film industry at that time it wasn't letting anybody in at all. If you didn't know the certain type of person, if you didn't have a connection, you just couldn't get in. And for me, it just wasn't the right time to pursue that. So my auntie said, look, there's a space at this school, so why don't you try and become an assistant in the school first of all? So I went in for 3 years and I worked as an assistant, and then realised actually I'm quite good with working with these type of students, and then left for a year, and then managed to come back as a teacher to the same school where I worked in. I've been there for 10 years as a teacher now. So that's how it started, but it's always, like I said, really rewarding. Nothing ever the same, and I just get so much inspiration from what I can do to help them, but also the stories and the things that I've gone through with my students also inspire my work as well.
That's amazing. And so, Matt, ask you this, especially being how now it is such a digital era, but being how you said at first your dreams were to go into film and such. So is your presence online? Because one, I think it's so cool how you see so many people of different fields now showcasing what it is like to live in their life, or sharing their expertise for people out there like therapists and other educators and such of that nature. So as a part of your content, like, are you hoping to give, like you said, you have the impact of reaching more, sharing how hard that daily life is with your writing, but is that the same goal that you're doing with the content that you're putting out, or is that more still experimenting with that filmmaker side of
It's
yourself?
a bit of experimenting as well. So some of it came about because I went to a publisher and author and basically said you need more presence online. You need to showcase yourself a bit more about who you are and what you're up to. So I do take the mickey out of teaching quite a lot as well. But then there's moments where I do go, this is what's happened today. Have a think about what's happened in my life today, and just generally some of the mistakes teachers make, because we're all human as well, and the expectations of teachers, and just putting that out there. I try to, with like my reels and stuff, to find keep them quite light-hearted, because my job is so stressful sometimes. I just have to have a creative outlet and just look at the funny side of what I'm doing that day. So there's content of me having a rave at school one day, because that's what we did. That was like a normal school day for us, was having a rave. But like all my drama lessons, because I'm 6'4", and I teach dance. I can't dance to save my life, but have to choreograph all these things. So there's like videos of me trying to choreograph these things. Just a bit of a laugh at
I
what.
love that.
So, but then I do stuff to do with my writing as well, and that's more like the more serious stuff, because I know that you're trying to sell whatever you're trying to produce at that time. So that's sometimes a bit more serious, but I can have fun with what I'm doing as well. Like my children's books, I did a video where I went out to sea and recorded my book at the bottom of the sea. Nearly died doing it, but that's part of the fun of filming stuff and learning how do you film on water for a water book. But yeah, so good fun.
Yeah, it's always trial and error, as you said, having fun, learning in the process.
Yes.
So, those children books that you've written, can you tell us more about those? Like, are they for educational purposes, or are they more just for fun and leisure?
Okay. So I've written quite a wide range, varied type of stuff. So my first set of books that I wrote were for a charity called the Brett Foundation, which tragically is based on a true story about a 14-year-old boy here in the UK who was murdered. He was groomed by someone he met online, and the charity were looking for someone who could translate it in for special needs students. So I went away and I ended up writing 2 books for different levels of students, and a play as well. So that one's designed to help people just generally, just how to be safe online. It's a bit scary world out there when you open the door, especially for special needs people, how vulnerable they can be to wanting a relationship and talking to people. So that was a way of trying to get that message across. I then got asked by another charity called the DSM Foundation. Another tragic story, 17-year-old boy went out on night out and took drugs for the first time and then overdosed. So quite heavy matter, but putting it in a way that students can understand and interact with it in different ways. So there's a book and a play about that as well. And then, because things with that, I got the confidence that actually I can do some good writing. I can make changes in the world with what I'm writing. So I went away and was like, I need to do something a little bit more fun. So I wrote my first children's book called What Happened to Grandad's Teeth, which is just pure silliness. And it came about from a day just after lockdown. I went out with my family to the beach and with my in-laws, and we just had the worst day ever. Everything was going wrong, to the point where my father-in-law took my kids down to the beach, to the sea, and a massive wave just came and knocked him out and knocked his teeth out at the same time. So spent the whole day looking for Grandad for real. And on our way back, we were joking, "Oh, what's happened to Grandad's teeth? Where have they gone? What's happened to them?" And then I was like, "This is a story." So put it down to paper, worked with a very talented artist called Harrington, and we came out with What Happened to Grandad's Teeth, which was great fun to write and be silly with. And I've been lucky enough to use that in quite a few schools here. So I take it and we do like a drama version of it. So we do lots of sensory stuff and make waves and we look for granddad's teeth and we pretend to eat fish and chips and stuff. It's a lot of fun.
I love your creativity.
Yeah. Well, that's a part of my job. That's the thing is like,
Yeah.
that's what I do for my job anyway. I translate stories for special needs kids and then adapt them so they're sensory in some way. So that was Grandad's Teeth. And then my last one that is out at the moment is a Christmas book called Brent Santa's Missing Reindeer, which is actually is about my dad who suddenly, when we grew up, became obsessed with Christmas. Like when we were younger, it was like black bin bag, Christmas present out, wrapping, just put it all in the bin. But then when I had my girls, he just seemed to become a Christmas fanatic. And he came back one day and he had a 6-foot reindeer that he had decided to put on his roof, and we all needed to help him. So it's a bit of a nod to my dad and how much he suddenly loved Christmas. And that was great fun to write as well. So yeah, that's what I've got out at the moment. And I've got a few things lined up at the moment.
That you're currently working on?
Yeah, so I've got a play that I've written called Big Man, Little Man, which is all over my social media. And that play is probably the most personal thing I've ever written. It links like everything I do together. So it's based loosely on true life, about a student that I worked with for 3 years and the trials and tribulations that we went together when I was working with him. And it deals with the ideas of masculinity, the roles of a teacher in the modern day world, online abuse, relationships, disabilities. It's really hardcore, 2.5 hour roller coaster of emotions of working with a student very closely, because that's what happens with special needs teachers is because we're much smaller classes, we get to really know those families, we get to know those students inside out. But this one student that I worked with he's probably the one in a million that I'm never ever going to forget. And like I said, it was very traumatic what we went through, and he was the one that actually turned around to me and said, look, we've done all this, you've helped me through all this, could you please not let it happen to anyone again? I was like, well, I can talk to people and say, and he was like, no, you're a playwright, you're going to write a play about what we went through and you're going to make other people see it. So fingers crossed at some point in the future, I will be able to say that I'm putting it out on stage somewhere. But yeah, it's a really heartfelt thing that I did, and it's very emotional for me because it's almost a bit like therapy, if I'm honest, writing that play, because we went through so much. The only way that I felt I could almost process what was happening, I had to relive it again.
So speaking of, let me ask you then, especially, because it sounds like there's a lot of energy transfers and you get very involved with the work that you do. So how is it that you balance that work and personal life?
Well, I'm going now. I'm a lot better. Okay. I got, when I was working with that student, the boundaries of my job completely disappeared. It was a very strange time, because the parent had my phone number, so if there was stuff going on at home, I would spend quite a lot of my evening talking to the parent as well, speaking to the student outside. Whereas now I'm very much like, I have to switch off now. I've got my own family, I've got my own kids now. I have to go, right, I have to leave that at the door at school unless it's something really, really major. So I try to make, literally, if I walked out the door of my school, that's it. I can't do any more that day. So I do stay a little bit longer sometimes to sort things out. But once I've left that building, that's where it stays. It can't really come into my house anymore. It can't do that. I've learned from this experience that I've written about is that I can't be everybody's superhero. I can't be
Everybody.
I can try, but lots of the world now, the parents need to try and help as much as they can as well. But I think with this student that in question, our relationship was just instant. Instantly, we just knew each other's thoughts. He was like, well, he is like a little brother to me. I speak to him after 3 years of him leaving. He messages me most weeks saying, "How are you?" telling me what's going on. So I know I've made an impact, and I know I'm going to go on and make more impact on students. But that's part of the reason for Big Man Little Man, is that I want to show people as well that you can do stuff. Just, I know I've been sidelined as I'm a teacher, but to say to my students, I've gone out, I've done this, I have proven to people that I can write, that I'm going forward. Because when I was at school, my drama teacher at the time said I'd never amount to anything in drama. That's always in the back of my head, is that I'll never amount to anything. But then I'm like,
and then that's what I was trying to say. Don't. And I'm sorry to cut you off, but I was going to say, like, because you said, "Oh, I'm just a teacher," but no, teachers have such a major, regardless, especially with the work that you do, but regardless, have a major impact on one's life. Like, there's still a teacher to this day who, like I said, whether it's the negative remarks or the positive ones, those people are a part of your journey and shape who you are.
Exactly, and I completely agree with that. Negative or positive, the teachers are amazing, full stop. And I think worldwide we aren't recognised for the hard work we're doing right now in the world, because it isn't the same as, say, 10 years ago when I started off. We have to jump through so many hoops and prove so many things, and people think we just sit there and give them a worksheet. It's not that anymore. We are literally surrounding them with everything we can possibly do. Any tool we have in our basket, in our cupboards, we will throw at them to make sure that these children are the future and will shine bright.
So how does your personal value, like, how have your personal values shaped your choices and aspirations today?
Tricky trap. So first and foremost, my girls, one of them is severely dyslexic, which is probably inherited from me, and being able to show her that I can achieve something with words and creativity, because she's very creative, and able to shape that first of all, and that I can help her see you can do stuff. And if you have a barrier, you keep pushing, you can do that. And I think that influences quite a lot of what I do, is that if you have a barrier, you need to jump up, you need to prove that you can do more. It might take a little bit longer, but you can achieve it if you want it that badly. I think also my value over the last few years have changed, in that I thought for quite a long time that my writing was going to be, that's it, I'm going to make it, it's going to be everything, that is everything. Whereas actually speaking to people more about the fact that I do both, I need to respect that my teaching has heavily influenced my life and what I do, and actually it's really helped me push forward in my values when it comes to writing and the work that I'm trying to produce.
Are there any colleagues or maybe any students who have inspired you the most along your journey, like who gave you any memorable advice or something that just still you, other than that one with that negative comment that you said plays in your head, but like
so teacher wise, I had some really good art teachers who were very much like, you can just be yourself and be creative, just go with what your gut says and do that. But I used to swim for Great Britain as well, way back when I was younger. So I had a coach who taught me from when I was about 11 years old. And he was always saying, you can go further, you can push, you can go, you can push. And that's always in the back of my head, is that I can go, I can push, I can go to the next level. And I think there's also a colleague called Judy Waldron, who when I was starting out as a TA was just unbelievably creative, would take stories and just do magical things with them. Like, I've never seen an umbrella be so many things. She had a magical talent of turning things into other things and imagination blowing up. And that's part of the respect I have for my teaching, is that I know other things can mean other things to other people. So like my classroom is an absolute tip. I'm a hoarder because of that woman, because I will keep it just in case like suddenly a brick could be translated into a stone or something. It's just like I've got in my cupboard at the moment. But yeah, she's definitely an inspiration as well. Yeah, it's that would be my 3 for now.
Okay. So then, speaking of pushing, what are your current goals that you're working on? What can we expect from you in the next couple of years?
So my main goal at the moment is Big Man, Little Man. Getting that play out to a producer and getting it on stage in some shape or form. It's been a journey, a real slog of a journey. I thought in March this year that I had a producer and that I was on my way to getting this play out, and after a few months things fizzled out and it just wasn't working with me and that creative team at that point. So he ended up stepping away, which was devastating because we literally got to the point where we were ready to hold auditions and it was just like something is not clicking quite right. So that was real like a blow this year that stopped. But I've carried on and I'm back on to pushing and really trying to get it out into the world because it is such a great story. I hope to have another children's book out very soon. I'm just waiting to hear from the publisher whether that's going ahead. And that's called no, it's not. It's called Take It to the Walrus, which is just a silly story about a walrus's birthday and everyone forgetting about it. And it's about staying true to your friendships and not worrying about everything else. If you said you're doing something for a friend, you do it. So that's take it to the walrus.
Parents, look out for that.
Yeah, and I'm working on a ghost and another children's book as well. So I'm always busy doing something creative behind the scenes. Well, there's always something ticking in my head at 3 o'clock in the morning that I should be doing or writing down. So there's a few things lined up which I'm really excited about. As I said before, it's all about pushing and trying, but also making sure there's the balance between my school, my writing, and my family, and making sure that all lines up properly as well.
Oh, yes. Well, sounds like you're a busy man, and I'm not going to hold you for much longer. But before I let you go, Mark Harrington, I want to ask, how is it, would you like to be remembered here? What's the mark that you hope to leave on this world?
I hope to leave inspiration, joy, and dreams can come true. That's what I'd like to leave behind.
And you're doing that, Mark. I'm going to most definitely remember you. So thank you today for some of your time, sharing so much of your journey and the unconventional work that you do. I'm so thankful for having you here and for shedding light on how it is such a difficult journey, all the work that you do. And I think it's so powerful of you to be able to translate that into writing and children's books and these plays and helping these other children express themselves and share their journey, how you have done so far. So thank you. Continue doing the work.
No, thank you, and I appreciate you taking the time to want to speak to me.
All right. Yes, sir. Well, enjoy the rest of your day, Mark Harrington. All right.
Thank
Much
you.
love.
See ya.
Peace and love, tribe. That was so amazing. It's so crazy how it's so many different people out here to keep the world running that we don't acknowledge, don't even give their flowers. Thank you, Carter. And teachers is one of the most underrated, most underappreciated essential workers that we have out here. Well, tribe, that's it for today. I hope y'all tune in for next time. And if you haven't already, subscribe to LunaTheMoodyLion on YouTube to tune into the Real Deal podcast, as well as reviews and exclusive insights, guys. All right. Peace and love, tribe. Peace and love.